Alright, we just got back from a long ride in the Corvette, doing some tuning and just giving her some learn time. And I gotta tell you, not a lot of drama. Runs pretty good. Doesn't always like hot starting, it's gonna have to learn on that. But the Corvette was an awful lot of fun to drive. And like I said, not a lot of drama. It's working pretty good. And now we're moving forward on this. So we don't have them torqued down yet, but we've got the gasket fitted and the supercharger fitted. And in a little bit, we're going to go ahead and get the snout on there so that we can start playing pulley games. Well, in another heartbreak, we just discovered that our coupler and our snout, they're not friends. They're the right spline, but they're not the right depth. So once the coupler is finally mounted, it doesn't come even close to engaging. So it would look cool, but it wouldn't do anything. Okay, we've been going through stacks of pulleys, and the top one there will line up with the inner pulley, and you can see all the dust and stuff in there. So if we do that, that'll give us the inner pulley. And this one here, when it's lined up, will give us the outer pulley, which means now I can take these home, get dimensions off of these two, and start figuring out how we're going to do our alternator and our power steering pump, which we definitely need because that's what runs our brakes. So at least something good is going on. Okay, guess it's not going to be a long video, even though it was a long night. We've been monkeying with things, playing with pulleys. We're starting to figure out our distance for power steering. We even thought about using this remote reservoir setup, but I'm not sure it's going to work out for us. But I've got some measurements. Gonna have to figure out what coupler we're supposed to have, because apparently we don't have the correct coupler. So we'll go through that. And yeah, on the upside, the V-belt pulley that we bought years ago is gonna work, so I'm happy about that. So yeah, it's a shorter video today. Alright, we're picking up a week later, and we borrowed some short water pump stuff off of an Impala engine, and we're just starting to verify we're going to get the fit and what length we can get away with on the snout, since we don't have the right drive for it anyway. If we have to change sizes, now's the time to do it. Okay, these are just some random belts. They don't actually fit. You can see I've got the one pinched under, but what they're showing us is our belt alignment. And I gotta say, that looks pretty good. Obviously, this would actually go around the crank, but that looks like it's gonna work out pretty good for us. So now, let's put the snout on there. Okay, we're starting to look at some of our worst cases here. So this is with that same snout with the spacer that we have for it that doesn't have the correct drive coupler. This idler with this spacer and its bolt, although we would really rather just get longer extensions here, because those would be much sturdier. But anyway, we're trying to figure out where our problems are going to be, and I'm sure you can kind of see the thing I'm most worried about right now. As you're looking down, I'll come around over here. If we were all the way in as far as we could go here, knowing that this is moving around, we're not going to last very long here. So we need all of this out a little bit. I don't know if all we've got to do is move this idler out and slide us forward on the pulley, or if that will walk. I have no direct experience with that, so something we're going to have to learn, but we're getting close. I think a standard short water pump setup will work for the accessory drive though. Okay, so we're doing our mock-up on how we want to do things. For starters, we don't want that giant spacer if we don't have to have it. You know, one bolt. I'd rather move these 4 out. So, using some spacers and playing with some distances, we've gotten down to, if we cut new spacers that are 4.5 inches, so you can see right there, 4.5 inches for our fancy spacer, something that looks nice too, not these look terrible anyway. That means we won't have to have a bunch of bushings or any of these adapters that seem to be common, but you know, why use them if you don't need them? 2, it gives us something we can polish. But 3, with the belt as far back as it can go, you'll see we clear the power steering belt. And I realize that this isn't super tight, you know, but it's showing the concept here. So yeah, that's what we want. So there's one thing. The other thing is we are going to stick with this snout because they're, you know, they're bloody expensive, which does have an aluminum spacer in it. And we're just going to get the correct coupler because that's going to be a much cheaper and simpler decision there. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So we will go ahead and probably get the same set of brackets, except we're going to mount the alternator lower. And we're kind of hoping we're going to clear that control arm. If it becomes a problem, we can always buy a bracket. But, you know, if it's down and out of the way, that's definitely our preference. Okay, I forgot to film an outro, so before I head home, wanted to point out that we got quite a bit figured out on the accessories, and we know what length we need for the drive coupler, so I'll look into that tomorrow. We went through a bunch of power steering pumps looking for a body that we really liked, because I really like that old look. So we did find one, and it was pretty rusted. It took a lot of work to get it apart, but we did. And we're just going to get a new pump body to, or you know, the actual pump to put in it. And we're probably going to try to have a second return bung welded to it, because we are doing the Hydro Boost, and it would just be a lot easier, because it's going to be pretty tight to the frame in that 55. So figured I better just do the outro this way.